Here we are. As you can see, we're in the Benetton Ford. This debuted in 1991. Had a lot of backing. Had a few famous drivers. PK was one of the drivers, but I've picked Michael Schumacher. I nearly said Mick Schumacher then. The next three are kind of the higher end of the grid. Having said that, this particular car debuted in 91, so it wasn't a front-running car. However, it kind of came in its own throughout the season. Lots of sponsorship. United colours of Benetton. Well, it is a Benetton. You can see there by some of the livery, we've got like camel, which is tobacco sponsorship. So you can see this is probably why another reason I preferred cars of this sort of era and before, getting rid of the sponsorships which are iconic throughout racing. Without getting all political, you have choices. I suppose young kids could be influenced, especially if they really like their Formula 1 or motorsport and they see the Marlboro or the Camel, and then they get to see that in the shops. I suppose they could sway. I don't know. We're getting a bit controversial there. I go the other way there, to be honest, but it done me any harm. But anywho, the Camel Benetton, as driven by a number of drivers, I've picked Michael Schumacher. So we're going to take this round Silverstone. Going to have a few laps, and I'll do my normal out lap and a consistent fast lap, and we'll see how we get on from there. In the Benetton out for a few laps. So looking at it sort of straight from a graphical point of view, yeah, it looks really good. Slightly more detail, a bit crisper from cockpit view. The car does sound and perform very much like the Coloni, which made me feel that I seem to think that was Ford powered. This is Ford powered, and it feels flat. So I don't know whether the car, the Benetton in this particular era, I can't remember too much about how I have to look at the results. Was it not quite as high up as I think? And is this like a mid to back running car because of its debut? I seem to recall Schumacher doing well, but maybe that was the following year in '92. So anyway, we're going to take it round. I'm hoping it doesn't feel that quick. It feels like that Coloni. It just feels like underpowered. I've done about 3 or 4 laps. Yeah, the lap times on my dash, you can see, is 1:56. I don't know if that represents the lap time I should be doing, because that is quicker than Coloni, but it's probably because I'm used to the car. Anyway, we're doing out lap, a little bit of a chat whilst I'm driving. Oh, incidentally, this iteration of Silverstone isn't the most up-to-date one that I've actually got. It has got an updated one, but as I've done the rest of the cars in part 1 on this particular version, I've used the same track again. And like the previous one, like your part 1, I've set the time and the weather and the wind to kind of how it is. It is pretty much similar as far as the simulator is concerned as part 1. I wouldn't have put it to wet if it had been raining, for example. So anyhow, H pattern, Ford Fiesta powered, it seems. We're gonna, although my Ford Fiesta is quicker than this, I reckon. We'll give it another go. So I'm in neutral. Is that going to work? Hopefully. I think I did stop.
Last light was at 209.64. Sectors 1 and 2 are quick.
So I try and build up the temperature of the tyres. Never done that before.
You're locking your front going into turn 4.
Locking my fronts. Don't worry about the rear then.
Your front tyres are cold.
Trying to warm them up. Just seems flat. I mean, it even sounds the same as the Coloni. I don't know. Still got understeer. And I'm still trying to drive consistently. Try not to over rev. Right on the limit. Not liking it through there. Damn it.
Sector 2 time is okay. Your tyre temps are looking good. Just done a 152.28. That's your best lap in this session. Your sector 2 and 3 times are good. Sector 1 is 0.6 up your best.
Well, that wasn't the neatest of laps, and I also think my track IR was a little bit low in the cockpit. I was trying to sit in a more comfortable position, so this was a bit moving around. I think I did a 152, so that don't sound too bad. That definitely I think it's got a lot more bottom end. It just feels flat sort of halfway through the range. Sort of fourth gear. Didn't like that. It didn't like it. I felt it was a bit naff. But yeah, the lap time did seem to improve. We'll have a look at it now if you like. So we'll have a quick look and then we'll get into another car. So you can see my actual best was a 152.2, but my theoretical best a 151.6, which would put that on par with the other cars I did in part 1. Probably from the same part of the grid, which is interesting. Anyway, we're going to get into we've got a choice of the big three, I guess. Williams, McLaren and Ferrari. So this is going to be only 3. I'm not sure which ones I'll pick yet. 92 is when Williams were really strong. So I'll see which one I do. It doesn't really matter, I suppose. They're all up the front anyway. So let's get into some faster cars, hopefully. As you see before you, I went for Ferrari for the initial one. Ferrari, as driven by, well, it says, interestingly, Well, it says Gianni Morbidelli there. I was actually hoping to pick Prost. So Alain Prost in the Ferrari looks lovely. Again, superb profile of the car. I just want to mention, I know I set the weather to what it really is today. I could have clicked real weather. The main issue with that is that when I initially start this, it could be nighttime or morning and dark. I don't want to race around Silverstone at night, so I don't think that's going to achieve anything. So hence why I've sort of set it to perhaps a generic morning session. I just have to advance the time a little bit on each car that goes out. But this one, let's just look the nuts. This should actually lap pretty well. This was a front-running car in that era. It's when Ferrari used to get things right. And I had noticed it depends on the team. The tyre manufacturers do change. So Pirelli was one of my noticed. Goodyear, so they weren't on Michelin this time as I perhaps thought. So I'm assuming that was correct. So we're going to take the Ferrari out, do a few laps. Here we are in the Ferrari. So took it out for a few laps. Completely different. Paddle shift is one thing. It's got 7-speed paddle shift. Changing gear at about 13.5. It kind of red lines at 14,000 RPM. I've kept the FOV at what the other cars were. It does seem to sit slightly further forward. I had to make a little adjustment because if I look, the mirrors aren't quite where on the other cars they are. So you want to be further back slightly, it would seem. But yeah. So this car, the paddle shift alone is going to make the car quicker through the gears, where the first four, the part one, the first three, and the Benetton in this particular series is all H-pattern. Where, again, we started on an out lap, did a little chat, and then we'll do a quicker lap. It seemed a hell of a lot quicker, so I'm expecting sort of sub 150s, I reckon. Don't know. What was I doing last time? 52, 51. Yeah. We'll see. I'm expecting it to be quicker if I do a similar lap time. So let's chat in. Let's resume. Lovely V12. I think it's a V12. Tyres are still cold. I don't run the tyre blankets. Front tyres ain't warm enough yet. Right, let's see what we can do.
One time was 256, 117, sectors 1 and 3 looking quick.
Nearly.
sounds okay. Tyre temps are good.
Loads and loads of power. 7 speed. Ooh, not good there. Lots of understeer there. Tyres are warm now.
That lap was at 149.23. Good lap.
Right, so I keep saying so. Let's try and change what I say. I looked at the lap time then, that was a sub 50, so that was a 149.2 I think. A lot quicker. It's so much more smoother through the range, the power. It's got 7 speed as well, which you can use. The revs in each gear seem to match the speed that you want to do. There's a lot of options to go around certain corners in like 5th or 4th and 3rd. It kind of the revs kind of match whatever speed you're doing. It sounds good. It did have a little bit of I feel understeer. It took a while for the tyres to warm up. I've just noticed on the app there, the front tyre, when I said the outside rear the other day, I'm thinking of oval racing, but the right hand side, so that side there on the right, most tracks are clockwise, so certain tyres will get hot than the others, wouldn't they? So you've got the back tyres which are driven anyway by the engine, so they're going to be hot no matter what they do. But Silverstone's a good example where majority of the corners are right-handers. So that tyre there, which I referred to as the outside tyre, what I meant was the right side tyre, actually stays colder, which it does in this particular instance. It's not, the others are green, and I can look at the app there. It's only at 22 bar, so the rest of the tyres, the back's at 26, and that tyre there is at 24, so it's running hotter, which means these left-hand bends, it will understeer a little bit more, and also you need the inside tyre to grip to pull you round the right-hand bends, but because there's not enough for those bends to warm that tyre up. Well, there's not enough left-hand bends to warm the right side tyre up, which helps it on the. Am I saying that right? There's not enough left-hand bends to put the weight on the outside to warm the tyre up to aid it on the right-hand bends. If that makes sense. I knew what I was talking about. So we're going to go and check the time. I think that's 1:49. I think I saw. So all dead. So 1:49.2, which has come up on the best lap on that track. If you look up on the left, that Ferrari on the cars that I've taken out, so that is the quickest lap so far. We've got one more choice, so we've got a Williams or a McLaren. Everybody drives McLaren, including me, so I think I'm going to go Williams, just because McLaren would be the obvious choice in this sort of range. Yeah, we'll go for Williams. Williams Renault, as driven by Nigel Mansell, amongst other drivers. I'm going to choose. Oh, was that? That's Patrese. let's go back to. So there we go. That's a very iconic colour scheme. Again, tobacco sponsoring, Renault powered. When you consider how successful Renault engines have been and what cars have had Renault in sort of more current era, they've got such a good pedigree. So you'd think Alpine, as it is now, which are basically Renault, should bode well with the history they've got. As usual, the models are absolutely exquisite. The detailing is amazing. I do like how ASR model their cars. Again, one of those favourite eras. I'll say it again. The silhouette of a Formula 1 car in those days just cannot be beat at all. How they've gone now with the shark fin, all these winglets, get rid of them. I mean, even the halo, although it is hidden, kind of now, you get used to it, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, there's very low cockpit, isn't it? I mean, the head's sort of up here, like it has been for many, many years. So trying to make things too safe sanitizes things, I think, a little bit. But yeah, so I can't wait to get into this car. It's the final car of this part 2. To be honest with you, so it's got to be quicker than the Ferrari, which is sub 150. Again, Williams basically is more of a built on a budget, as it were, rather than manufacturer. Williams being Frank Williams. It's just a man who enjoyed motorsport, whereas things like Ferrari and McLaren, although it was originated by a person, ends up to be a manufacturer of other things. Williams don't make a road car that's a Williams road car, do they? They do. I think they did a Renault Williams, Renault Clio, and amongst other things, I think. But anyway, that's we'll see. We're going to see if this car performs as good as I remember. Okay, so I've taken the Williams. Is it FW14? I can't remember now. I'm rubbish. Around the track. What a completely different experience. It's got 6-speed paddle shift. Renault powered. Doesn't have as much turning at all. It's very difficult to get the front tyres hot. It pushes a hell of a lot. You can easily overdrive this one. So it's a completely different experience to the Ferrari, which is in a similar performance part of the grid. Yeah, the tyres, I'm looking at the tyres now. They're not running as hot overall as what that Ferrari was. And I've just done a reasonably quick lap, but not right on the limit. And you can see there, that's a one I was doing, I think up to that point, a 150. And I've got to go around the corner across the line yet. So, yeah, it's nowhere near as quick as that Ferrari. I've had to also, which is pretty rare, I've changed the brake bias. It's now running at 51.5. I hadn't changed anything on the other cars because braking heavier into the corners, it would just swap ends. Its default was 50%. I hadn't really checked it on the other cars, but I just couldn't get around the corners. And it took my normal amount of laps. I did an extra 2 laps to try and get the car up to temperature. So I think for the benefit of this part 2 is I might have to do 2 quick laps. Yeah. It says their practice time left 6 minutes, so I've got enough time to do another session. Yeah, so this one, I was expecting to be a lot more planted, and it certainly isn't that. So let's, it's probably going to be 2 laps. Let's give it a go. About 14,000 RPM. Cold front tyres still. So it's even pushing there. Still pushes through there. Front tyres are still cold. Yeah, definitely ain't got the front end at all. Left tyre, that one, warm. That one, cold. Nowhere near as quick on the cornering. Nope.
That was at 450, 112. That's your fastest lap. All three sectors are pretty quick.
Right, this will have to be the lap. And I've missed the apex.
Sector one time was good.
Oh, nearly. Bit of a glitch there. Front tyre still cold. Loads of understeer. And there. Loads of understeer. Wow.
48.49. That's your quickest lap. Your pace is good in sectors 1 and 2. Sector 3 is a 10th off your best.
Well. Well, that was unexpected. That was a handful. You had to really concentrate to get the car around the corners. It just seemed you have to drive it a lot slower on the apexes and turn in to get it round. And it seemed, looking at that, is that a 140, 148, I think. Now, was that the quickest one? And that tyre never warmed up. Maybe in that last lap towards the end, it got a little bit of colour in it, but the rest of the tyres are great. I mean, they're back up to what perhaps the Ferrari was. But yeah, that tyre is absolutely toasted. Well, not toast. The other, what's opposite of toasted? Frozen. Right, so let's go and have a look at the overall lap. 1:48.4, pretty much. I did 5 laps that time, so it was. I think the other cars, you know, give or take 3 to 4 laps. So the Ferrari did 3, I think. And looking at the top there, that is the quickest lap. Well, that was totally unexpected. It didn't feel that quick. Of course, there's an element of you know, I've been on the sim for a bit, 3 cars in, and you get used to it, just adapting. That's why it's important to, you know, perhaps do some longer stints, getting used to sort of the drive and the physics of a particular simulator, and not diving straight in and being good at everything. I mean, most people will have a specific one that they go back to. I think this could be a highlight, you know, why that is. It's an FW14, by the way. So yeah, Well, that was completely unexpected, I'll be honest. So let's go and compare the lap times. I think we know the answer to that one already. So here we are at the Silverstone sort of lap time table. I'm aware that where you're seeing my big fat head, it's over the times, but I can see them. So I've highlighted the bottom one just for now. I won't highlight the rest. I don't need to. So that was the Coloni. I think that was Ford powered. That did a 1:57.1. Be interesting if I took that out again. Would I be quicker? Next up was the Ford, the Benetton. Say the Ford Benetton, and that was a 1:52.2. And then the Leighton House, a 1:51.8. Tyrrell Honda, that was the next one. That was in my test the third quickest, a 1:51.5. So very competitive. That sort of midfield bit. Then we went on to sort of the big guns, if you like. So Ferrari, which felt quicker, a 1:49.2. So that was interesting. And then the Williams Renault FW14, a 1:48.4. So in the pecking order of what I expected, in my head, it seems to sit right. I thought the Benetton might be a little bit quicker than perhaps Leighton House, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe because thinking back, it's its debut year, so it's probably not far off without looking at the actual results. You know, we got McLaren, which we didn't do, so that might have been right up there above or as equal to the Williams. The Williams in the game felt not as quick as that Ferrari. The Ferrari felt the best. The Benetton kind of sits where perhaps it felt, because it's got Ford powered. It felt the same as that Coloni, but it seems to be lapping quicker. And yeah, it seems to work. So the sort of the performance of the vehicles. Bear in mind, I'm not the most consistent driver, but I'm trying to drive at a clean lap. And the only car I had to adjust was that Williams. Everything else was stock, straight out as you get it, as you download it and race it. Nothing was changed. All things were equal, as in no tyre blankets. Tyres that were on the car as default were, nothing like qualifying tyres. All on soft tyres of its time. Different tyre manufacturers. Some had H pattern, some had paddle shift, or two of them had paddle shift, the rest were H pattern. Yeah, so I think it's just highlighted how close things are. Very enjoyable. I'll have to do another one. Well, I'm not sure there's much point. I don't know. But that was enjoyable. That was part 2. So let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I shall see you on another venture at some point. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.